guys, so today we are going to be looking at blood spatter labs. We're going to do the labs for part 3, part 4, and part 5 today. We're outside in front of my house because my husband really doesn't want me to throw blood everywhere in our house. I don't know why. So we're going to be outside doing our tests today. So I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what we're doing after I give the demonstration, and then that way you can see what each thing is and how it looks after we're done. So when we talk about this, the first thing we want to talk about is part 3, which is going to be blood droplets on different surfaces. So when we have different surfaces, blood droplets are going to strike them differently and they're going to spread out differently. What that means is that a blood droplet could be dropped at the same height but have a different pattern that it makes because of the absorbency or the grooves that are in the substance that it's being dropped on. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you guys look at my setting right here. I need to make sure you guys can see it. So we've got a paper bag, we have a piece of carpet, we have a plastic bag, we have cotton, and we have a wooden shim. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be dropping the blood from all the different heights. Then I'm going to be taking a picture of each thing, which will then be included at the end of this, and you guys will be able to see what each spatter looks like on the different surfaces. Now, to do this, we also have to measure. We're going to measure at 30 centimeters up, so each droplet will be held from a consistent height. Again, when we run an experiment, one of the things we want to do is we want to make sure that we only have one experimental. All the rest of it is controlled. So all the pieces that you see here will be in the same spots, and they will be from the same heights. We will just be doing the drops from the 30 centimeters. So I have my cup of blood right here, ready to go. I'm going to start out with my paper bag. Again, I'm going to hold it at 30 centimeters. I'm going to turn it, and then I'm going to put a drop on there, and there's our 30 centimeter on the paper bag. I'm going to do the same thing with the paper or the carpet. I'm going to hold it up, then I'm going to do the drop and put it on the carpet. Then I'm going to hit up the plastic bag. So when I hit the plastic bag, again, 30 centimeters. And sometimes if you get bubbles in your dropper, it kind of makes it hard to do the drops. So I'll try to keep that as consistent as possible. There's our 30 centimeter drop on our plastic bag. And then over here, here's going to be our 30 centimeter drop on our wood shim. Then over here, here's our 30 centimeter drop on our note card, which should be smooth. Again, if it's on a smooth surface, it should be relatively circular and have a nice smooth round 90-degree angle drop like that. It should have a nice smooth round appearance. Then we're going to do the cotton. Okay, so I've done all my droplets. Now I'm going to take pictures so you guys can see exactly what we did and exactly how this works. So here is the wood. Here is the droplet on a plastic bag. Again, I'm trying to stay out of the frame with the shadow. Here is what the carpet looked like when we got the droplet on it. Here is what the paper bag looked like when we got it on the paper bag. This is what the cotton looks like. Notice how much more that spreads out. And then this is our note card. Again, spikes and satellites are very regular here because this is an absorbent surface. This has a lot of differentiation in how it's spreading because this is a super absorbent surface and it's treated with stain guard. Notice it's keeping the blood droplet up on top. It's not allowing it to drop in. And then when we look at the plastic bag, notice it's keeping it relatively on the surface. And the wood, it's all over the place because it has lots of grooves and it's able to split around. Okay, so the second part we're going to do today, and sorry if you can hear people mowing their grass and everything in the background, is we're going to do the medium and high velocity spatters. So we're going to do lab 5, which is looking at the different kinds of medium and high velocity. So to do the medium velocity, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, I'm gonna put blood on the top. Again, this is Tritech Forensics blood. Looks like this. So those of you who want to know what kind of blood I'm using, this is the kind of blood I use if I am doing spatter labs, because it behaves the same way that regular blood does in the lab, without us having anything that would be a biohazard. So what I'm going to do is do what we would normally do in the classroom, which I would have you guys get in front of this. I would have you put the blood on top of your hand and then go for it at a 90-degree angle. Then we will choose either up or down. I'm probably going to do down because it makes sure that I don't get it back up in my face. And we're going to go down to the 90 degrees. So one medium spatter will be at 90, one will be at not 90, one will be high spatter at 90, and one will be high spatter not at 90. So again, to create the medium, I'm just going to use my hand. I'm going to get as perpendicular as possible to the paper. I'm going to put the blood on my hand, which this is why we have the thing out, and then I'm just going to hit at a 90-degree angle. Now, what should happen is you should see the blood being pretty circular because it's coming in at a 90 degree, okay? The second one is a little easier. The second one we're going to do same technique, but we're going at not 90. So I'm going to have my hand straight when I first start to do it, just so that the blood will pull up. Then I'm going to angle my hand down and hit. And as you can see, I now have angularity in my drops as they're going down. Okay, I'll do one more quick drop there so that you guys can see that spattered as well. Notice it's getting all over my tablecloths. And I'm probably going to have to clean that spot up on the floor. The next one is the high velocity. To do the high velocity, what we're going to do is I'm going to actually use a toothbrush. So toothbrush will mimic the pattern of a high velocity stain. So I'm going to get my toothbrush nice and covered with blood, okay? Then I'm going to come down and again be as close as I can to 90 degrees and gently flick at 90 degrees to get my blood spatter. Notice it looks more like a fine mist. I'm then going to go through and over here I'm going to do my non-90. So I'm going to take and angle it down, then I'm going to do my flick, and what you should see is more angularity from the drops, okay? So I will take pictures of all of these so that you guys can see the 90s and the not 90s, and you guys will be able to see what we have. I definitely need to take off my gloves here. So let me move the camera closer so that you can see exactly what you're supposed to be seeing. This is what, actually let me flip it around. This is what you should see when you have the 90-degree spatter. Notice it's all kind of circular. This is what it should look like when it is not 90. Notice it has angularity. Again, bigger drops, separate drops. This is what it looks like when it's high and it's at 90. Looks like a mist. And this is what it looks like when it is not at 90. Angularity and the mist, okay? Now I know for some of you science teachers, you're probably gonna say, well, you know, some of those look more like medium, some of them look more like, you know, high, some of them look more low. We're doing the best that we can with what we've got. If you look down onto my pattern here, you can see that because I was dripping it, these are what we would call passive stains. These are stains that were created when it just randomly dropped with gravity onto the tarp that I laid, or the tablecloth that I laid down. Okay, and we're going to talk here in a minute about how to measure the angles of those drops that get angles. So this is where we look at, again, if there was an absence of blood in one spot, we would be talking about a void pattern and where that void pattern is. And why it's there. When you have something like a gunshot, the blood is going to be coming forward and backward, as you guys saw in your notes. So when the blood is coming back at the person, the back spatter It should cover the person that's shot, or at least hit them or do something in that direction. If it's going through and through as it goes forward spatter, the forward spatter goes with the bullet. If the bullet goes through and through, it'll create a high profile behind, okay? So that is lab 5. Okay, the last lab that I would normally have you guys do has to do with angularity, and I'm gonna do it out here and try to do my best I can to get it to stay steady, but if I don't get it perfect, I apologize. The ones I'm gonna give you in picture format are ones that I did when I had Mr. Murphy actually hold it for me. It's a little hard to do this when you're doing it by yourself. That's usually why we have you in groups of 2 or 3 and we have you doing this. So we're going to be using a protractor, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to get angularity of the drop. So the idea is to get as close as possible to the real drop. So what I've done is I have a clipboard that's been set up. I have taped 2 note cards to it and labeled them for 10 degrees, trial 1 and trial 2. I have my ruler because we're still going to drop from 30 centimeters. And then I've got my protractor out here. So if it's 10 degrees, what that really means is that this would be straight up and down perpendicular. And again, when you line these up, you want to line it up to meet what it's on the protractor. So to do a 10-degree drop, I'm going to drop it back to 80, okay, which is 10 degrees from the center. Then I'm going to take my dropper, and actually I'm going to estimate my 30 centimeters. Normally you would hold a ruler. Because I'm doing this by myself with one hand, I'm not going to do that. But what you do is you're going to take it back to the 90 or to the 80, and then somebody would hold this steady and the other person would do the drip from about 30 centimeters. So I'm going to estimate and get my drops. I'm going to reset again with a different grip. See if I can do this pretty steady. And again, my hands shake, so I know that these drops aren't going to be very good. I have better ones that will be done. So this is what it should look like when you guys have it done. That's what it's going to look like. It will have those marks on it. I will show you the picture that has them done correctly. We then are going to do the same thing with a different angle. So the 2 pictures that I'm giving you are going to be of 10 degrees and another degree angle. And then I'm going to teach you guys how to measure the length and the width on that particular thing. And then you guys are going to measure length and width, and you guys will then tell me about your droplets, okay? So that takes care of labs 3, 4, and 5. Okay, kiddos, so we did our droplets outside. Now we need to measure our droplets. These droplets were done last year in my lab, and I know they're pretty good because we did them in class, and I had a partner. As you saw, that was pretty hard for me to do as a partner. But the first thing you have to measure is how wide. So this is approximately, if we look at it, sorry, I had it on the inches. If we look at it in centimeters, there is about, and you have to look for the widest part. So you roll it up and down till you find the widest part. This droplet is about 0.4 centimeters wide. This droplet is also for 10 degrees. And again, you look at it carefully and you stop at the tail, okay? So, looking at this, this is about 2.6 centimeters long, okay? Then you're going to do the same thing for your second droplet. So if we look over here at droplet 2 and we roll this around, we have about 0.4 centimeters, and we have lengthwise, if we look at it from top to bottom, this one's a little shorter. I would put it at 1.9 centimeters, okay? So that's your 10 degrees. To compare, we're going to do 70-degree droplets. So looking at the measurement on the width, we can see that the width is 1.9 centimeters And the height is going to be pretty close. It's about 1.3 centimeters. Then over here you've got going across, I would say that one is going to be 1.5 centimeters, and then going up and down. So the length of this one, I would put it at 1.5 sorry, I gotta look at it, 1.3 centimeters, okay? So, once you make your measurements, which I've just done for you, then you're gonna fill it out in the chart and do the math, okay? So, that'll help you calculate angle and how we do angle with blood spatter.